It is now 19 minutes to 8. I just had to wait for that 10.
News.
19 minutes to 8. And Sarah's going to have the weather for us shortly.
The fashion group, Ted Baker, they've promised an independent investigation into claims that their chief executive forced staff to let him hug them.
Now, the announcement follows an online petition by some employees who accuse Ray Calvin of verbal, physical and sexual harassment. In a statement, Ted Baker said its founder greets many people he meets with a hug, be it a shareholder, investor, supplier, partner, customer or colleague.
They go on to say hugs have become part of Ted Baker's culture, but are absolutely not insisted upon. While the claims made are entirely at odds with the values of our business and those of our CEO, we take them very seriously.
Is hugging ever acceptable in the workplace?
You quite like a hug, don't you?
I love a hug. I'm a big hugger. I've hugged you on air before.
I'm aware of the hug, yeah.
Yeah, it scarred him. But especially if it's by a boss. Let's talk to the psychologist, Jeff Beattie. Now, I'm not by any means, morning, Jeff, belittling this. But there is a big difference, isn't there, between being asked, and some of the allegations, the brand's founder, Ted Baker brand founder, asked young female members of staff to sit on his knee, cuddle him, or let him massage their ears. I don't think, if that is true, and these are allegations, we must be very clear, that is clear, that's true.
Clearly unacceptable, yeah.
Clearly unacceptable. But we've decided to just have a wider discussion, perhaps, about what is acceptable in the workplace. I remember I hugged you, maybe you didn't feel comfortable about it, I think you were okay.
But if I hadn't wanted to do it, I just would have said no thanks.
Yeah.
And we've also had guests who've come on before, Jeff, and sort of said, I'm not a handshaker, I'm a hugger.
Yes.
So I suppose it's about how you make the person, the huggee, how you make them feel and how they respond, isn't
Well, exactly. I mean, it has to be a form of cooperative interaction. You have to signal that you're prepared to be hugged. I think this particular case, it's bound up with the kind of power dynamic, because if you start hugging people and you make them uncomfortable, that is a real issue. The issue with this one, of course, was that the hugs were long hugs, because there's a rule for hugs, which is they should be quite brief. So I think and the positive side of hugs, of course, is they can make people feel much better. You know, they release oxytocin, so there's a very positive side. But it all depends upon the circumstances, who's doing it, and whether there's this kind of power dynamic associated with it. Because I think the problem is if it's your boss hugging you, how do you signal to them that that you're not comfortable with this? I mean, it takes a bolder person to verbally say it. So we normally do it non-verbally, and people tend to do this kind of masking smile, which is, I'm kind of happy, but I'm kind of not inside, if you see what I mean. And
some people just can't even bear the thought of being involved in a hug in any way, shape or form. And you can all tell, whenever you've been involved in a hug with anybody, you can tell when it's the moment. Well, you can tell when it's the moment to break away as well, can't you? Yeah. Because you know there's a change in the sort of body. They start freezing, they start patting you back. They're saying, "Kind of release me now."
And it's so complicated because I mean, touch is such a powerful signal. It's you know, powerful psychologically, it's powerful symbolically, and of course we rely upon all these other signals to disambiguate it. And I think that's part of the problem. You have to choose the person you're going to hug carefully, because some people feel much better with a hug. It's about reassurance, it's about feeling good, it's about bonding. But if you choose the wrong person in the wrong circumstances, then it can be very problematic.
Isn't there all just too much to think about? Why don't you just say no hugs? Because if you just said no hugs, handshake, even then that can be misconstrued. But this is where it gets to the point, isn't it?
People go through horrible things at work sometimes, and occasionally, if you've got a really good friendship with somebody, and you know they've had some really bad news from home or whatever, you might just go and give them a hug because actually,
no. I mean, it's such a primitive.
But if it's your friend, it's different.
If it's your friend, it's different.
You have a different relationship. This is more about kind of being in the workplace, coming in, and your boss going, "Hi, how you doing?" Give me, what are you doing? You know, just don't do it.
Well, exactly. And also, you think about what would the psychology of him be at that point in time. What does he think he's doing?
Or she.
Or she. I mean, the boss, do they think that they're facilitating, you know, a kind of more relaxed culture? But not being able to read the signals, because I always think at the core of this is the way, as human beings, we signal to other human beings. We don't normally do it verbally, we do it in subtle, non-verbal ways.
Also, shouldn't there be, though, a line? If I came in the morning and my editor said, "Hi, Naga, how you doing?" gave me a hug, and then straight after the programme wanted to say how rubbish I'd been on the programme and how disappointed he is that I've done this or that, he'd just given me a hug. It blurs the lines, though, doesn't it?
Yes,
I don't want those lines.
No, okay, because... And again, human beings are having to deal with that all the time.
Which never happens, by the way.
It kind of never happens. But I mean, it's a complex thing, because human beings are signalling to each other all the time. And the problem with the hug is you're kind of forcing your position on someone. It's a bit like Donald Trump and his kind of clasp and yank handshake. He's pulling. You can see how uncomfortable they are. But the problem is with hugs, you sometimes don't see the facial expression of the person being hugged. Because maybe if they could see the expression, they would know they're making some people slightly uncomfortable and they would draw it back. But of course, there's this interesting thing about bosses, which is perhaps they need to be more receptive to the non-verbal communication of the people who are working for them. And this kind of discomfort and stuff wouldn't happen. But as a universal greeting, as it is in this case, that's just clearly ludicrous.
I'm not really sure if we've decided it's a yay or nay.
Well, it's complicated.
It is.
It is complicated.
I was just thinking there while you were talking, Jeff, about a number of people who, my friends, I suppose, there are people that I'd hug, particularly I haven't seen them in a long time.
Yes.
I saw some friends yesterday, not seen in about a year, and we just all naturally hugged each other. But then
Friends.
Yeah,
friends.
Workplaces.
So you're at the same level. It's not a status thing, because the problem is if it's a boss, how do you signal to the boss that you're not happy with this form of interaction?
I might give our boss Adam a massive man hug after this programme. Just
I
clear the tension.
I'm going to run straight into his arms. He's going to run away. Seriously.
Team hug. Team hug.
Thank you so much, Jeff, for talking to us.
Yeah, it's a really interesting debate, though, isn't it? Where, like you say, where those lines are and where you draw them.
Yeah. Let's go to Alnwick, shall we? To Northam. Wow.
That looks lovely, doesn't it?
Should we just take 3 seconds?